Hi, this is Karen and Tim from Stampin' on the Back Porch. And we are doing our podcast where we talk about everything paper crafting, creativity, and life.
So today we're going to be talking about Vinegar Valentines.
What?
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yes, and I've got a whole bottle of vinegar in my luggage.
So we're going to the dark side of Valentines. We're talking about Vinegar Valentines
The dark
and
side.
internet trolls. It really is. Because we'll bring that up until
Seriously?
today. Yes. Today we think about the internet trolls, but, going back to Valentine's, back from the 1850s to for about 100 years in there, people sent anonymous hate messages at Valentine's Day.
Like in the mail?
In the mail. That is the same time when it was started being called like the penny post. Things got cheap enough to mail, so people, and sending Valentines became popular.
And it was hate mail?
And it was hate mail.
That's weird.
So who did they target? Pretty much anyone you wanted to. Unfaithful lovers, fat people, thin people, drinkers, bosses, teachers, shopkeepers, unfaithful lovers, old maids. Can you believe we played that as a game as a child? I cannot believe old maids is even, just that term. In this culture today, it is just bizarre that, we don't refer to people. Thankfully, we have a lot more choices in life now, but I think, oh my goodness, I can't believe what a popular that game is. They were also sometimes called the penny dreadfuls. So there were even...
This is the first time I've heard of this.
So, do you want to hear your one?
But I'll tell you what, our babysitters when we were kids were three sisters that never got married, and they were our babysitters. So.
And they were called in that day
Spinsters.
Spinsters. That is just so. Oh, I'm so glad you guys we've moved beyond that for most of life anyway. I guess. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. But here is one that you might like to hear. No, you might not want to hear it. It may stay with you, but I just could find a couple of these.
It'll haunt you.
Yes. Okay.
This is not Halloween. This is Valentine's Day.
And and remember, this is anonymous, and this was meant to be hurtful, which is, and it really is. So this is called a fright. So completely all charmed as your countenance lack, that a glimpse of your face would a looking glass crack. You've the mouth of a toad, the head of an ape, the ears of a calf, and a nondescript shape. You're so horribly ugly, you frighten the crows. So what chance is there for you to capture the beaux?
Jeez.
Is that horrible?
That's horrible.
Sexist and horrible. And here's another one. Now, I'll take this one personally. As, I don't have much of a waist, and I just think of back in the day, when women would just cinch their waist. Oh, I'm so glad to not be living in that time. But here's another one. You waste labor on your waist. Two different kinds of waist. You have no other beauty, so you hope the men to please by giving to your homely waist a most outrageous squeeze. This is the way you pinch it till you're nearly cut in half, but in spite of all your efforts, men only at you laugh. Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's horrible to think that was actually sent.
That's actually horrible. It's not pretty horrible.
It is
horrible.
Very horrible. There were even court cases charging that people had turned to violence because of either sending cards like that then they, people figured out who it was, or receiving cards like that. And some countries even banned the practice of mailing Valentines for a while. And in Chicago, late in the 19th century, the post office stopped 25,000 Valentines that they considered not fit to go through the mail. Because these were put on postcards in the 19th century. Because these were sent they're like postcards, so they're all printed on one side, so you could see what it was. 25,000. I think what a horrible, horrible practice.
Do you know what we call that now? Spam.
Oh, but this is way worse than spam. But this is the hurtful. This is what you think about the.
Karen, that's a joke.
Oh, okay. I won't even make those jokes, but I'm going to tell my story then about internet trolling. We always talk about trolls on the internet, but a big difference to keep in mind, back in the day, you had to plan what you're going to say, go buy a card, and mail it. You had a lot of time to think about your actions. And I think one of the scary parts to me about today is you can just reply to something and, you might even regret it, but it's out there permanently, and I just think so much damage is being done. So early on when we started our Facebook Lives, someone put out a message saying, this is my first time watching you, and I realized you're pretty old. And I had all these viewers are saying, get that hater off here, delete that message, and, defending me. And I left it. I thought about it and thought, that's really a dumb thing to say. So a week later, I came on and I told this story, and I just said, so here's my lesson. Isn't it fabulous to think you don't have to be 40 and beautiful to be successful on Facebook Live? This is about getting to know each other and attracting just the people that want to be your friends. We don't want the whole world watching. So I, feel bad for the person thinking that it would be helpful or something to me. I don't know what they're thinking. But I just want to address that, because I think this, and you think of kids today, they're just so targeted, the bullying and things online. So we do have a really huge issue, and it's just hard to know what to do. And, there will be court cases and all this. But it's also just interesting to take a look back and think, oh, my goodness.
We haven't changed much.
Yeah, there's, people do a lot of hurtful things to each other. So let's switch to a lighter side, because Valentine's is a much better time to let someone know that you love them.
Yes.
I think this is just a great story, that in 1840, Esther Howland, a college student, made the first mass-produced Valentines. She imported lace and fine papers, and she employed several people, including her brothers.
And what's her first name?
Esther. We have a daughter named Esther.
And we have a grandmother and who else?
Yeah, and an aunt. It's a family name.
It's a family name.
But I just think that is really cool. And on her first year, she sold $5,000, which was a lot back in that day. And so immediately after, big companies started doing the same thing. But I just think it's really cool that this college student kind of started that whole process and did one of the first assembly line. It was assembly line. And now we'll do that, like if we're making wedding cards and things. So I just kind of vision that, I've helped people do wedding cards where you get all the people together. And, we did that for our sons. You were a part of it. We had all of us were there taking a part. And to think that way back then, a college student did that and turned it into an income. So I think
we do that every Monday morning at our house.
Yeah, but that's not assembly line. Everyone does their own thing.
Okay.
Do you think you could get the Monday Mavens to do assembly line? No, no, we love it all. So, and now it is more of a lighthearted, it is the second most popular time for sending cards after, what would be the first?
Halloween. Christmas,
yes. And Valentine's is next. So it is certainly a big industry. But I think...
Or was it my birthday?
I think a really cool thing is, everyone can have fun making Valentine's. If you put out some heart punches and some pretty papers, it's a fun thing you can do together. And then you can send this little message telling someone you were thinking about them. So Valentine's is a great opportunity to create. And then to send something fun. And it's a perfect thing to do, with kids, and to encourage them to, to send out Valentines to people that are going to appreciate it, and to send a Valentine card to people who might not be expecting one. I think we always love to get cards in the mail. I know a friend, Kathy, always sends Valentines every year to people that she knows that have lost their spouse during the year. And I think that's just a thoughtful thing to do. So do you make Valentine cards?
Is this where I talk about becoming engaged to you?
Oh, sure.
February 12th is a significant day because it's the day that I gave Karen a diamond. And the reason it was February 12th is that I couldn't wait for February 14th. I couldn't wait for Valentine's Day. So I asked her to marry me. Oh, I gave her a diamond on February 12th. So how many years ago was that?
I don't know. Am I expected to answer that?
I think so. 40, I should probably know too. 46? 46 years ago, this February 12th, which is 2 days before Valentine's Day. I found a card that I made for you like 20 years ago with a heart. I love hearts, so I draw hearts everywhere. And I found one that I made for Karen, and I actually hung it up. I used punches. I didn't use stamps, I don't think, but...
Is that the one you did? I loved a card he sent once. He just disappeared into my craft room and used punches and all this, and it came out and had all kinds of things used for all kinds of interesting things. But he had 2 squares cut out, and one of them said,
that's it.
The best decision in my life. And then the next hole was to ask you to marry me. And I thought, that's a keeper. There is something about making something, giving something, and the message itself that people are going to keep and come back to and look at. So
And she kept me.
and this many years later, and now he's actually making cards more. Back then, he never made cards. But so thanks.
Not much more.
So however you spend Valentine's Day, this is just an encouragement to think about who's someone special that you could send a card to. That would make their day. So thanks.
Yep. It's been fun.